Good morning, everyone. Welcome to By the Fire with Bach. Today we have Pawel Smuga, a real estate agent from Bayleys, specializes in commercial properties
No, residential and development.
and development. All right. So today you're going to talk to him about the property market, and he would give you some tips and answer a few questions I have for him, just to know more about the real estate industry and market in 2021. So, Pawel,
Yes.
why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I guess I've been doing this for about 7 years now, and I essentially started in Titirangi out west,
Oh, yep.
moved to Mount Albert, and now I'm based in the Ponsonby office.
That's a posh office.
It's pretty nice. It's
Oh.
pretty fancy, and then we get to see some really nice houses.
Oh, I mean, like, look at you. You always have really nice suits, and you look always polished. I'm always impressed whenever I see you. Man, that's
Thank you.
like
Yeah.
top class presentation right there.
No, it's good. Thank you.
All right, so Pawel, you said that you specialize in residential
Yes.
and development. Can you
Yes.
tell us a bit more about the types of properties that you deal with? What sort of market that you're in, and what sort of property owners or investors or the market that you target?
For sure. So, with the residential properties, personally, I really like the really nice houses. So, properties that have had the renovations done, or they've got something special about them, and then you move on to, for instance, the investment properties, where it's something where the numbers will stack up for someone
Yep,
when they're
yep.
looking to buy it.
So just a little bit, sorry, I'm cutting you off. In terms of investment property,
Yes.
is it always about the margin that the investor look at? What sort of investment property that you have been dealing with?
Yeah, almost always. I guess with investments, they're always looking at yields, so that's really important. But then, obviously, you got to factor in things like capital gains, and how the area is performing, what area it's in, for instance.
Yep.
So someone might be willing to sacrifice 0.5% in yield if they've got a nicer area, compared to going further out where they can get something cheaper.
Yep.
But the numbers won't stack up, and they don't expect it to go up in the same amount as you would for something more central.
Yep. Exactly. So it's always about compromising, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's not always black or white, just numbers.
For sure.
It's always about other factors, as in the zoning, the potential of this and that.
Yeah.
And all the other factors of humans.
100%, and even like the underlying factors, like you said, the zoning, but then obviously other future potential that there is, if it's renovation work to the property, or if it's buying one thing because you happen to own next door, or you want to own next door, and you're looking to put a few pieces of a puzzle together to actually create something. So that's where you might be willing to sacrifice.
Right, exactly. So I think that's quite important to put into consideration when you invest into a property.
For sure.
Always look at, like, not just about the numbers, right, but also what you want to achieve, your long-term goal as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or whether you want to expand it, or you want to rebuild, or you want to redevelop the whole
100%.
section.
Yeah.
No, that's a good one. What about so what about residential? What sort of residentials that you have been looking at?
So anything, I guess, from the Ponsonby area all the way to Titirangi, I really like any of the houses along that stretch. Family homes, or even first home buyer homes, they're all kind of exciting for me.
Oh, yeah.
And I guess the reason I kind of got into this industry is because I wanted to figure out what my dream home looked like. And the thing is that the longer I've been doing it, the more I realize actually there's no such thing as a dream home, because I see lots of really nice houses or really not nice houses, and I can go, cool, I like that, I don't like that.
Yeah, yep.
And then next time I see a house that's got something even better or something even worse. So I guess it's kind of a burden to be seeing more houses, because it's now really changing the way that I decide what I want.
That goes as saying, it's not good to know too much, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, you can know too much.
But I guess at the end of the day, it always depends on your personal preferences, right?
For
Because
sure,
if
yeah.
you buy the second-hand house, it's never 100%. It's never 90%, is it? Because you're just buying someone else's house that
Yeah.
built for them, not
But
for you.
At the same time, you go through a place and you do like a lot of things that other people have done.
Yep.
So with a brand new house, yes, you can choose exactly everything that you want.
Yep. Yep.
But you're still going to get things wrong. And I think that's where the issue lies, is unless you've done it 100 times
Yeah.
and you know exactly what you want,
Mm.
it's still going to change anyway, because trends are always changing.
Exactly.
And that's why everything, on trend right now
Yep.
is really nice, but then in 5 years' time, you'll be like,
Exactly.
I don't like that
Like
anymore.
like the old, back in the 70s, you got all these grubby ceiling.
Oh, yeah, with
And it was on trend back in the days that
Yeah.
everyone had it.
the asbestos.
Yeah.
And sparkles in it.
That's
Yeah.
the thing. And I mean, if you look at it from today's point of view, like how could anyone make it a trend? Right?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
So that's what you said before. It could be a trend today, but maybe 5 years from now, it could be the worst thing ever.
Yep.
So just things always change. So you're right on that, and I guess really there's never a perfect home.
Yep.
But then the one that is a home, but it's never a perfect house.
Correct.
Yeah.
But I guess on the flip side as well is when I help someone buy something who hasn't been through as many homes as I have, then I can actually see that spark where they go, "This is our perfect home."
Oh yeah.
And I'm not going to burst that bubble, because at that
Yeah,
moment it is.
Yeah.
And that's quite special.
Exactly right. So a house is not a home, right? So people when they see a house and they love it, and they build in the imagination, it's a home that they see the family living, the kids running around, things like that. So that's a home in their mind.
Yeah.
But then the house itself is a different thing. So I guess really it's about the home.
Yeah.
When people look at it, they imagine whether it's a home for them, how they see it, right? So how do they imagine how they live there with the family, with the future is lying forward,
package.
so things
Yeah.
like that. So interesting. So Pawel, what has been the most memorable experience for you in 2020 and 2021 so far?
I would probably say there was a house that we sold in Mount Talbot on Lloyd Ave, and it was an amazing home. It was we called it the Grand Manor, because it was on an estate. It was a beautiful home. It was character, but it had tastefully done renovations. It was a big house. It was 6 bedrooms, 5 living rooms, 5 bathrooms, half an acre, with amazing views. It was pretty special.
That's like, in my mind, from what I'm imagining now, it's like a castle for me, and you got like just
It was a
people
castle.
riding horses around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you almost could. Yeah, it was pretty amazing, and the owners were really they were pretty special as well. So it was really good to actually get them a result, and to go through that process with them.
Oh yeah. So so if you don't mind, could you tell me what sort of buyers would be interested in these sort of properties?
Yeah, we had a really unique selection of buyers. So we didn't have as much international inquiry as I would have expected, but at the same time, a lot of national buyers. So, we had some buyers making their way from, there's someone who came from Queenstown, and they took a special trip up. We had a lot of people from the greater Auckland area, so some people from Takapuna, for instance, who were really interested. And obviously a lot of locals, because a lot of those houses around there are also quite similar. Same area, big. This is possibly one of the biggest in Mount Talbot, but people were possibly looking at upsizing. They realised that theirs have gone up. And this is obviously after the first lockdown, so people kind of realised, okay, well, our jobs are stable, we can actually do this. So real mixed bag, just because of all of those factors going on at the time.
Exactly. And I'm quite not a surprising since that we're close our borders, but I'm surprising since that not many, when you say that, not many international interesting, because you advertise overseas or to other countries as well.
Yep, we've got some pretty good portals. And we've got an association with Knight Frank, which are really big international company. So if there's ever an opportunity, we'll take that. And company does conferences in London and Hong Kong.
Yep.
So there's big sort of showcases of stackload of properties that they take over, and some of our agents go over and see what we can get.
Yep.
Obviously right now that's not happening, but there's still obviously those ties held there, so you can get some really good international presence.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's a good thing when we have a lot of interest from overseas people, especially during the COVID-19.
For sure.
How well we handled the whole COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah.
And everyone just wants to move to New Zealand. And that's a good sign, because it means that we are actually top of the list in the world.
Yeah.
So I think our property market is getting really, really interesting.
Yeah.
Coming probably, I think it will be after the whole COVID-19 pandemic is over.
Yeah.
Because I think people will
once
love
the world
to move
can
to
move
New
a little
Zealand.
bit more freely.
Yeah.
100%.
Exactly. So if you don't mind, can I ask, what record have you set so far for 2020 and 2021?
Yeah, so that was a Mount Albert record.
Oh.
So that's also, I guess, part of the reason why it's special. For residential. So we've actually set a record probably about 5 years ago for a development site.
Yep.
And we actually hold 3 of the highest prices in Mount Albert.
For real. And
Yeah.
you guys are top guys in Mount Albert now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. Do you guys see this is the guy to go to Mount Albert, or pretty much anywhere in Auckland?
Yeah, well, almost anywhere.
Pawel from Bayley.
So that was a pretty good one to be able to sit there. And there was one that we just sold a couple of weeks ago in Mount Roskill. That was 3 properties tied together into one. So there was a development site.
So did they buy 3 separate properties together at the same time, or did they buy from the owner who already owned the 3 properties?
Yeah, so the way that worked is an owner had one property, bought the one next to it.
Yep.
And then that's when we got involved. And he was like, okay, well, I want to sell. And we're like, okay, cool. You're going to get probably a better price if you get the person who's also on the other street, which backs onto you. So we approached them and we said, look, if we get you crazy money, are you open to it? We got them crazy money. So
that's a win-win, right? And
yeah.
I think from what you just told me before, just told me here, without having a really experience and actually understanding the market, like you guys to advise the vendor, he wouldn't have got a good deal out of it, because you could have earned much more with 3 properties than just having 2. So you guys gave him a very good and right advice in that sense.
Yeah,
so
did pretty well out of that one.
I think that's amazing. It's teamwork right there, and I think it's just not anyone can do it. I think you do need really experienced and really well-toned real estate agents to be able to pull that off in these sort of deals.
Yep.
You have to be able to see the potential,
for sure,
and be able to know what sort of zone are you allowed to do, and what sort of structure that you can achieve in the future.
Yep.
So when it comes to development, it's because the whole development is not there. So you have to see everything on paper, and you have to imagine it, right?
A little bit of vision, a little bit of outside of the box thinking.
Yeah, exactly. So that is not someone from anywhere can do it. You can't just pull someone from the street to do it for you.
Yeah.
So it has to be someone who experienced, understand the market, and understand the industry to be do that. So Pawel, it is really interesting to hear that story. But yeah, no, that's great. Thanks for sharing with us.
That's right.
Yeah. So, what do you think the trend is going to be in 2021?
I guess with house prices at the moment, it's so hard to tell. I mean, there's a lot of crazy prices happening right now, so nothing makes sense.
I guess so, because you know how we got the whole first lockdown. I mean, saying, you know what, the property market is going to be really quiet because no one's going to have a job, or we don't even know what the future of the economy is going to look like. But bam, it ended up to be the hottest market ever.
Yep.
So it is. I guess it's no way we can tell the future of a market.
Correct.
What's going to happen. But I guess the faster you react to it, the better for you, right?
Yeah, and I don't think we can carry on this way for too much longer. We actually had in our team meeting yesterday, there's some stats thrown around, and essentially auction clearance rates are really good at the moment. But as soon as they start to drop, at the moment they're over 80% under the hammer. So that's really good numbers. If you've got 20 properties up, 80% of them you're going to sell. 18 of them.
16, yeah.
16? Sorry, yeah.
16
of them. So, and then the other 4, they're still probably going to get negotiated afterwards, and you're still probably going to get sold with some of those buyers left over. As soon as you start seeing that fall back, you're going to stop seeing the demand out there as well. And that's when, I don't want to throw the word bubble around, but it could be possibly the end of the bubble that we're in. It's all crystal ball stuff. So
right. But then the guys has got the data, the numbers, and you can see the trend, and you can see what's happening at the moment. So I think that's the advantage of having an real estate agent, because you have access to all the information that normal people don't know about.
The stats are pretty overwhelming. So right now the market's crazy hot, and even when we're going to a property and the next door neighbour sold for, let's say, $1 million, we and they've got an identical property, we still can't say you're going to get $1 million, because it could go even higher. It's just people going crazy right now.
Exactly. That is and that's what happens. That's what the way I see it is, like if your next door neighbour sold his property for $1 million, there's a chance that you get at least $1 million. If you have the same properties, I don't see the point of selling it less than $1 million if you have not 100%, but maybe say 80% similarity in terms of specs. Well, okay, good to know that. You're very honest about that, which I really like, in the sense that you don't try and say, oh, the property market is getting hot and you should sell now, but it is. We never have a crystal ball for the property market. We never do.
No one knows when the GFC was going to happen. And it just happened. And
exactly. And as I said to you before, I expected the property market to be required during the whole pandemic, but then bam.
We sold 2 properties during level 4 lockdown, sight unseen. No one had seen them.
Really?
They still sold.
So even if you couldn't go to an auction or to view a property, you can still buy a property.
Exactly.
Oh, right.
Okay. It's a little bit slower, the process, but it can still be done.
But it can still be done.
Mostly as long as we've got photos or things like that. We had a virtual tour, so people could actually go through the house and click around, which is quite cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's really handy. And the fact that you don't want to miss an opportunity.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So as I said before, you had to react as soon as possible, react as fast as possible, not to miss an opportunity. Yeah. So cool. All right. Thanks for that. Really useful. Your what you said. All right. So say because the market is very hot now, and there is still a chance for people to earn big bucks in the market at the moment, given that they have the right advice and the right direction. Let's say that if someone who's keen or is interested to sell their property today or at the in the near future, what sort of tips can you give them for the preparation?
The main thing is first impressions. So making sure that when you're driving down the road and you spot the house and then you see the signboard outside it, what's the first thing that people are going to say? Is it going to be inviting? Has the lawn been mowed, for instance? As simple as that. Or is it overgrown? That depends on what you're selling.
Exactly. Yes.
But first impressions are really important, and just being photo ready. So when we go in to photograph a place, that's probably the most important part of it, because that's the first thing that people are going to see when they go online. Everyone sees a property online.
Yes.
You've got a certain percentage that see it in the paper or drive by it, but majority is online. So the first photo or the first 3 photos are super important. You need to make sure they pop. and that there's no issues. So maybe figure out where your best angles are for your property.
Yep.
And make sure that that looks really nice. And
quick question: how do you know what is the best angle for the property?
normally it's the things that people really like. So an exterior shot, getting an idea on what the house is, how big it is, whether it's got a nice little courtyard or not. Has it got good road presence? So that's generally probably one of the best photos there. And then you're probably looking living area, making sure that that's looking really nice in your kitchen, in your backyard, that kind of stuff. And so landscaping is, I think, really important.
Yes.
Whether it's putting in more pot plants and things like that, or just making sure it's all really tidied up. Would
it pay to get someone in to do it professionally before
definitely
putting it up on the market?
Yeah, it all comes down to
do you guys do that? Do you guys offer the package? Do you help your property owner to look after to polish their property before being on the market?
Yeah, we've got a stack load of people that we recommend and refer. So you can we would help an owner get quotes. So they could be like, oh, okay, well, this is our yard, this is what we want to do. And we would say, hey, have you thought about doing it this way? And maybe you want to talk to this person. Do you want us to get them around to give you a quote? And see what they think as well.
Exactly. Because I think it's going to be really handy because, say, you're a property owner and pretty much all of us are really busy in our lives. And as you said before, all these things, preparation, it actually takes a lot of time.
Oh, for sure.
And efforts. And if you don't do it right, you may ruin it in the sense that accidentally not done enough in the sense of other prospective view. So I think I guess also approaching a professional real estate specialist like you would be able to help as well in the sense that you got your network and you can give the property owners direction and advice on what to do. What's the next step? Yeah,
we tend to go into a property and we say, look, do you want us to be brutal? Or how would you like it? And then we can give you a priority list and say, this is what we think you should do first. It's either free or cheap, or it's going to be the most cost-effective way for you to maximise your value at the end. So you don't want to spend $1 to make $1, because then you're just wasting your time. So you want to make sure it's a profitable exercise, and at the same time, you want to make sure your property becomes more saleable. So, getting more eyes on your property, getting to fight out for it.
Yes.
That's how you get a good
marketing, all the presentation, right? So, besides the look, what else do potential sellers want to need to think about? So the look, there's the price. So I guess that's where we come in and we can give you an idea on stats that are going on in the area. And that's that's all part of the free appraisal process. And we've had clients ask one for 5 years ago. They still haven't sold, and that's fine. And we just give them an update when they need it. That's quite handy.
Yeah, it's pretty good, and it's no water off our backs. And then once you're ready to go, then it's about making sure you're spending on the right bits of marketing. So you can't sell a secret, as the age-old saying goes. So you want to make sure that you are going with a boom and making sure that the goal is to get people through the door. So it's about what steps do you take to get as many people,
get the attention, right? Where to go, where to advertise and things. And you guys look at all that as well.
For sure,
So I would imagine it'd be a bit harder for people who want to advertise by themselves, in the sense that I think the data is very important. That having the stats to know what sort of price range that you should sell is quite important, because the price is what the potential prospects will look at as well. And also not being able to see the potential and not having enough the experience in terms of sales, property marketing. Would make it harder for people who want to DIY it as well. So I do think that having a professional who knows all this would help a lot.
It makes a huge difference. It could be, it could be $10,000 difference. It could be $100,000. You normally don't know, but there's always things that someone who hasn't done it themselves, who hasn't sold before, they're going to get things wrong. It's almost a guarantee.
Exactly.
You know, if you're lucky, you get everything right, but still there might be something that you just didn't quite perfect, which could affect your price.
And it consumes a lot of time. It's very time consuming, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, buying is very time consuming, but selling, I think, is also really time consuming.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
emotionally and
yes.
everything else.
And the thing is that if you spend all those hours and then you don't get the result that you want, it is just like devastating. Yeah. I wouldn't want to do that at all, in the sense that, you know, at least I would say that for me, at least if I sold the property, I would go to a professional to get some advice first to see what sort of options I have.
Yeah.
And then I would decide, right? So not just to decide, hey, I would just do it by myself now, and then I don't know what to do if I sell my house. I mean, if I start tomorrow, I don't know what to do.
Yep.
Like, I would just do my research and spend like 10 hours of research and still don't know what sort of direction to take. So I think approaching a professional real estate specialist is quite important when you sell a property, whether or not you want to engage them or you just want to get some advice.
Yep.
Right.
Well, it's the same, I guess, with any profession, right? If you, if you wanted to get brain surgery, for instance, you get a brain surgeon to do it, not your GP.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
You want the best, so you go talk to the best.
Yep. I agree with that. All right. So we got the look, we got the marketing. Is there any sort of compliances that people would need to think of?
Yeah, that stuff will get sorted at the beginning, so there is a little bit of a delay in getting on the market. So you've got to make sure your boxes are ticked, make sure that you're doing all the things to protect yourself, and that's where we can help as well, is making sure that as and only protected if issues arise, or if there's things that need to get disclosed or any issues that do pop up, we can make sure we can get on top of those before we go to the market. Because the last thing you want is you've got an auction next week, turns out your bathroom's uncompliant.
Oh yeah, true.
And then the banks will say no to everyone that's looking at buying it, except for the people with cash on hand. You've lost yourself a lot of money that way. Exactly.
And you lose money when you can't sell a property. You lose money in terms of the marketing costs, right?
Yeah, that too.
Like all those things, and then you can't sell because of that, and then it's just a lot of other things as well, and stress and whatnot. So I think yes. So I think these things are the benefits. The benefits of having a real estate agent or a specialist. I would like to call specialist in the sense that you're specialized in property and real estate, and not like me. I'm specialized in management, accounting, and management operations and things like that. So I wouldn't know about these things. So I like to call people specialists in that sense, that you specialize in the field. So yes, I think a real estate agent and specialist would be able to help the potential sellers a lot. I think I see a lot of values in this exercise. In the sense, save time and potentially would add a lot more on the price to sell.
Yeah.
And I think pricing, the higher the better, is not really what I think is good. I think that the price is perceived by the buyer. So every buyer's got their own perceived price.
Exactly. And
I think there is no set price for anything. You can't compare two properties. Even they look the same, but you can't compare two of them, whether they worth they should be priced this much or priced that much. I think price is really perceived by the buyers, and the fact that if you could present what the buyers really want, and they find the values in it, then they will be happy to pay for what it's worth, right? So if you can convince them that, hey, these are what you need, and these exactly what you want from a property, then this is worth $2 million, and if you convince that that's their perceived price, then they will be happy with that. So being able to sell is a skills there. That's
a skill, and the goal is to not stand in anyone's way. If they do want to pay something, the property's only worth what someone's prepared to pay.
Yep, exactly.
And, our industry's riddled with all these little quips, but if someone wants to pay a certain amount, they obviously see value at that level. And normally there's someone right behind them who sees value maybe at $1,000 less. And that's the beauty of an auction, for instance, where it's pretty transparent. So you always know that you, as a buyer, you're paying a fair price. As an owner,
exactly.
There's a price that you're willing to let it go at.
Exactly. No, totally. I agree. So anyway, thanks, Pawel. This is really, I think I find it quite informative in the sense that I understand more about the property market, and of course I'm into properties also. I know quite a bit, but I think for people who maybe are not really they're quite new to the property market and maybe who wants to sell, I think they would find this interview quite useful as well in that sense.
I'd hope so, yeah.
Yep. And I think if you are selling and you are quite, say, confused in terms of process, I think come to a real estate agent specialist. And Pawel here from Bayleys is a good guy. I will put his contact details in the description below. Then you can always contact him, have any questions, and ask him any advice that he can give you, he will give it to you. So great guy. So thanks, Pawel, for this coming to this interview, and really appreciate your time.
Cool.
And
thanks for having me.
Your advice. So there you go.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
All right, guys. That's the end of the interview, and I will see you guys in another episode.
See ya.
Goodbye.